Let me tell you about ProHealthConnect.com. It's transforming healthcare payments, providing retailers a seamless process for over-the-counter and healthy benefit programs. By connecting retailers, health plans, and payment processors, ProHealth Connect creates one powerful, unified network. They empower independent grocers and pharmacies to accept health benefit cards without changing how they do business. With over 10,000 locations nationwide, helping more than 1.3 million people access the care and nutrition they need. Go to ProHealthConnect.com.
KT McFarland does a great job on Fox News about 10 times a week. She's here with us quite a bit every Friday because we love her. KT, good morning. How are you?
I'm terrific. Thank you. Good morning to you.
Nice to have you back. I know you just heard what I had to say about the Secret Service. I know I said this all week long, but it's worth repeating again. I did text the president early Sunday morning. He got right back to me, and he said, "Thank you, Sid. I'm okay." And he thanked, in this text to me, the Secret Service. Early Sunday morning, and folks said, well, he's got to do that, and he loves the cops. But he did it again today. So he wasn't like that with the Secret Service in Butler, Pennsylvania. He was not. This time around, he seems to really think the Secret Service did a good enough, if not decent, job. What are your thoughts?
I think two things. They did an
Oh, where are you? KT, I can't hear you. You're about to say they did an excellent job. Where'd you go?
excellent job at
go.
the ballroom itself.
Right.
But not a very good job on the perimeter security. In other words, it was very easy for people either staying at the hotel or even going to the event to get through the various early on checkpoints. And that all needs to be reexamined.
Yeah, but don't you think the fact that they're in a hotel where there's 3,000 people staying, that added to the difficulty of keeping the president safe?
Absolutely. And then I think it's to your point. Your point is the best one, is that the venue is a bad venue. But it's the only venue. It's the only venue to do a dinner of that size in Washington. And that's historically where the big stuff in Washington happens, whether it's a national prayer breakfast, whether it's the White House Correspondents' Dinner, whether it's any of these things. So to President Trump's immediate point, that's why you need to build a ballroom.
That's it.
Be secure. Yep. You can get thousands of people in it. Do you know that when we have big events like a state dinner where you want to be able to invite 500 people, there are that many people who want to attend, who want to be part of history. They have to put up a tent and porta potties. That's not the United States. Even in the Reagan administration, when I would go to White House big events like that, big dinners, they were crowded, and they'd have an overflow crowd. It's like a junior crowd in the basement in another room. But we need a ballroom. We need a ballroom for not just state dinners, but we need it for big events like that can be secure, safe. You know who's there. You know when their birthdays are. Secret Service checks everybody. There's no stray people wandering in. So time to build a ballroom. Forget about the politics. Just do the job.
The politics is stupid, too, because let's face it. Let's say, you're a Democrat, and all the Democrats hate Trump, all of them except for Fetterman. That's it. So you hate Trump, and the last thing you want is Trump to build something beautiful, get credit for it, and then enjoy it. Here's where they're being stupid. By the time this thing is built, if Trump has 3 months left in office, he'll be lucky. Point being that this ballroom is really for the next president and all those presidents after. And, you're a Democrat. You hope many of those are Democrat presidents. By the time they build this, Trump wouldn't be able to enjoy it.
Yeah, but it's the Trump derangement syndrome. There's nothing he can do that they're going to like. Whether they like it secretly or not, they're all going to complain about it and criticize it. And, Trump could have peace in the Middle East, prevent Iran from getting nuclear weapons, make the United States the energy superpower of the world, control the world oil supply, bring China to its to an economic issue because it doesn't have cheap energy that's not controlled by the United States, and they would still hate Trump.
Of course,
he could cure cancer, and they would complain that he's putting the guys who do chemotherapy out of work.
Right, on colleges, right? Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. But I do want to ask you, because you have such great experience, and you mentioned your days with Reagan, and for my life, he was always my favorite president, always Ronald Reagan. until this guy came along. Now, I love them both. You know, I love both Ronald Reagan and President Trump. You've worked with both. You know both very, very well. Very intimate meetings with both Reagan and Trump. Very similar? Not really? What are your thoughts on those two guys in particular?
They'll both be extraordinarily consequential presidents, probably Trump even more. The difference is that President Reagan was inspirational. His speeches were just, you cry. They were so beautifully done. His personal courage was terrific. President Trump is different. He's a businessman. He understands the economic power of the United States, and he's not afraid to use it. He's not as inspirational a speaker, but I think as a strategic thinker, he's probably a step ahead of Reagan. And here's why. So take Iran as the example in the Middle East. There are like 4 levels of this. One level is you don't want Iran to get nuclear weapons. The next level is a changed Iran could be a force for peace in the Middle East. If you had Middle East peace, if you had the Abraham Accords that were extended to Iran, and that's an if, but if it happened, you would have the part of the world that has been the source of all of the world's major conflicts for the last 50 years at peace. And it would be one of the world's major trade regions. It could become the world would be a different place. And then the next level of this is what President Trump is doing in the strategic sense, is he wants to have the United States control world energy. So we have the American energy, oil and natural gas. We're now the world's largest one of the largest oil exporters. We are the world's largest natural gas, LNG exporters. We now control the Venezuelan oil. We have an influence over a number of countries in the Middle East, the Gulf Arab countries, particularly the United Arab UAE, which just quit OPEC. If you could get Iran in that constellation where we would have influence over their oil and their energy, we would then dominate, 75, 80% of the world's energy. The only thing that China would have left is really Russia. So what's the next step? And this is the really critical dimension that looks out over a generation, is that the country which has technology married to cheap energy is going to be the country that controls artificial intelligence, quantum computing, really controls the future. Now, when you look at the globe, there are many countries, or several countries, have a lot of abundant energy. As I said, Venezuela, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the United States. Which countries have superior technological capabilities by an order of magnitude? The United States and China. There's only one country that has both. The United States, with its technological superiority and innovation and creativity, married up to cheap energy, puts us in a position of being the sole superpower for a generation. China doesn't have any energy.
No.
That's why it's so critical for them now.
No, I agree. Right now, we are the only superpower. China, power, Russia, power. The only superpower right now is us. You mentioned the word courage, talking about Reagan and Trump, and they both got shot. Obviously, Reagan's was a lot more serious. Hinckley almost killed him. Then he went back and he continued to serve for years after that assassination attempt. And again, he was pretty messed up, Ronald Reagan. Trump, they tried to shoot 3 times, and they hit his ear, of course, back in Butler. So when you talk about courage, you're talking about 2 guys. Now, neither, thank God, was assassinated like John F. Kennedy or Lincoln. But you're talking about 2 guys that have actually been shot on the job. Pretty intense.
And I think that the similarity between the 2 of them is that Reagan, after he survived, almost killed in an assassination attempt, he said, and others around him said, he was a changed man. He felt he was a man of destiny, that God had kept him alive to do something really important in the world, and that was take down the Soviet Union and world peace. And from President Trump, I think he's also a changed man, certainly since Butler. If you look at the things he was saying in his first term and compare it to now, in his first term, a lot of it was about him and about how he was going to do this, he was going to do that. Now it's much more about the nation, the country. He likes his fair share of praise, but now he seems much more like a man on a mission that's not about himself, but about the future of the country and really the future of the world.
Yeah, sometimes I get annoyed, and nobody loves him more than me, except for maybe you. But I adore the man, love him, and sometimes I want him to be the Trump of 2016, 17. Like, I don't care what anybody says to me. That guy, 2016, 2017, would be trashing Mamdani right now. And this guy, because he wants New York to thrive and the economy and all that, this guy is 9 years later. a little more level-headed. He's older. He's been shot. But you can try to convince me otherwise. 2016, 2017, Mamdani would be getting thrashed every day by Trump.
Yes, but I think that the current Trump is a shrewder Trump. So if you look at the Middle East, he knew that the Strait of Hormuz was going to be closed. That's always Iran's go-to move. They did it in Reagan. They've done it many times in the past. But this Trump waited carefully for that to happen, and then he could spring the trap, and the trap was the blockade. In the past, we haven't had the military assets in the region to do a blockade. Trump had them pre-positioned because of the first 2 months of the Iran war. They were already there, ready to spring the trap. If I look at President Trump and what he's doing with Mamdani, I mean, I'm guessing, but I think this comes to a crisis in New York where Mamdani is going to ask the state to bail him out because, it's not going to work, everything he's doing, and the state doesn't have any money. And so Mamdani will turn to Trump, and he'll say, will you bail me out? Just like what happened when Jerry Ford was president, when they turned to New York. New York had to turn to the federal government and said, bail me out, bail us out. And Jerry Ford said, drop dead.
Right.
And that's when New York went into bankruptcy.
Well, Trump already said drop dead. He already said it to Kathy Hochul. Drop dead. I'm not helping you. Not doing it.
I'm not helping you. But when Mamdani asks, Trump will say, drop dead.
Yep.
But he will say, I've given you every chance.
Yep.
I've been a good guy to you. You haven't taken it up. You haven't. You're still having this sanctuary city stuff. You're still doing all the silly things that you're doing. I've given you every chance. You haven't taken every chance. Drop dead.
Yeah, I got to think, I love that drop dead. Oh, KT. I got to think that Trump knows Ken Griffin pretty well, and Ken Griffin's $50 billion. And then, on the way out here, the way Mamdani treated King Charles, I don't care if you think the royalty is a joke or not. That idiot Curtis is like, I agree with Mamdani. They're a bunch of, what are you talking about? You've got, the guy comes here, does a tremendous job speaking in front of Congress, tremendous, by the way, goes down to sacred soil 9/11, and this idiot Mamdani is talking about a piece of jewelry that was given to the English 93 years ago that nobody cares about. He's taking smiling selfies, KT McFarland, smiling selfies down at the side of 9/11. The mayor doesn't realize he shouldn't be doing that. By the way, Kathy Hochul and Julie Menon did the same thing. So just now, again, an opportunity for Mamdani to be a true ambassador for New York, and he literally pisses in the face of King Charles. What an idiot.
Well, he's the same guy who told Ken Griffith, we don't want you here. How's that going to work? It's not going to work at all because everyone with any kind of business interests in New York City is looking at not only their own personal stake of, am I going to get taxed because I have this second residence, but everybody who works for them. So what Mamdani is really doing is saying, rich people, leave. We don't want you. And what does that do to the New York economy? It causes it to go into free fall even more quickly. And then I think that the Trump final, patient move of President Trump, I think that he has the option then of saying to Mamdani, drop dead. Yeah,
he started that with Truth Social a couple of weeks ago when he actually did say Mamdani is, quote, in capital letters, destroying New York City. KT, you're not. You're beautiful. You're great. We love you every Friday. Thank you for another amazing appearance. Have yourself a great weekend. We'll do it again next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you. KT McFarland right there on Sid and Friends in the Morning does a great job with us every Friday. We love KT.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Roger Stone here. Every day you wait, your money loses value, but gold and silver don't follow those same rules. American Sovereign Bullion gives you access to a nationwide wholesaler network, helping you secure aggressive pricing on real physical metals. Call 844-272-2428 now to get your free gold and silver guide to learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver, delivered right to your door or with a gold IRA. Visit ASBgold.com. That's ASBgold.com for your free gold and silver guide today.